Mining is cool. Buff dudes do it, hot chicks do it, all the cool kids are doing it, so why shouldn't you? That's right, you should. We're gonna quickly go over some delving basics in Path of Exile to get you started on your way to being the hottest miner in all of Ray class.
Jesus Christ.
We'll be talking about Sulphite, build requirements, the different biomes, some delving gameplay tips, the upgrade system, special bosses, and of course, hopefully fat loot. There's a lot to get into here. My name is Schwingy, let's get started. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's quickly go over what the hell Delve even is for those that are unfamiliar. Delve is a piece of Path of Exile side content that can be accessed by talking to Nico. You'll first encounter him in Act 4. When delving, you'll follow this little carriage around in the darkness and kill monsters on the way. You'll want to stay mostly in the light or else you'll suffer from being too spooked and die. Once the crawler reaches its destination, there will be some sort of combat encounter usually, and then you get to open some chests for rewards. Then you get to choose where to go next. What's pretty unique to Delve is that the further down in the mines you go, the harder the content gets and the more rewarding it becomes. Oh, and it scales infinitely. Sulphite is the limiting factor to how much time you can spend in the mines. Thankfully, getting Sulphite is easy. All you need is to find Nico in your maps and click on his piles of definitely not crack. The meter fills up, and once it's full or close to full, it's a good time to go delving. You can force Nico onto your maps through the daily missions, using Sulphite scarabs that you can find or buy from other players, as well as just more chances of naturally spawning him in maps found in the Valdo's Rest Atlas region, assuming you took the Sulphite passives. Spoiler, you should.
Okay.
The higher the tier of map you're doing, the more Sulphite you'll receive for each pile you click on, and also the more quantity bonus your map has, the more Sulphite you'll get. If you're really going all out on the delving mechanic, you can also buy or craft some Valdo's Rest titanium watchstones with relevant modifiers such as double Sulphite or maps have an increased chance to contain Nico. If that all sounded like gibberish to you, don't worry, it was.
Not.
I'm gonna keep this section brief because it's really not that complicated. For delving, you want a build that's tanky. The latest update to Delve essentially eliminated the whole 1 HP builds meta that had existed for years and replaced it with a really diverse set of builds taking on the deeper depths. A quick look at the top performing builds on PoE Ninja ranked by depth should give you plenty of inspiration for what kind of build you might want to throw together for your delving goals, and this should remain true regardless of what league you're watching this in. I will mention that if you plan on doing the Delve bosses, it's not a bad idea to have some pretty good single target damage, or else they might give you a rough time like I've been experiencing myself. The mines can be separated into 10 different biomes, 3 of which are special rarer city biomes. These biomes have different visuals to make them easy to identify on the go and will have different randomized properties similar to what you would find in maps once you reach a low enough depth. Certain fossil types are tied to specific biomes and can only be found behind walls found in side tunnels or very rarely at the end of combat encounters. For example, depth fossils will only be found inside of the magma fissure biome. So if you were say in solo self-found and were looking for a specific fossil to craft some gear, you might want to target certain biomes when you're choosing where to go next in the mines. Personally, playing in Trade League, I hardly look at what biome I'm going towards since I'm not trying to optimize the fun out of the game like certain redditors, rather just to see how far down my character will go. The city biomes are special in that they have a different combat encounter upon reaching each node and often have many more reward chests compared to your average node. There is also the possibility of a boss encounter spawning, which can be very challenging but sometimes very rewarding if you get lucky. Okay, this section will be pretty straightforward. I'm just gonna rapid fire some tips for the actual Delve gameplay. Enemies don't take damage in the dark, so always bring as many flares as you can with you. Whenever you're exploring the side tunnels and reach a decent chest or get stuck on a pile of monsters, drop a flare down so you can protect yourself from the darkness stacks as well as kill all the nearby enemies. On the same token, bring as many dynamites as you can with you to blow up all those fractured walls you run into. Most of the good rewards you'll find while delving are hidden behind fractured walls, so it's always worth blowing them up. Having a source of phasing is particularly useful while delving to get out of sticky situations, so maybe bring along a quartz flask if you can fit that into your build. The crawler will stop moving if you go far enough into a side tunnel, so don't be afraid of it getting too far away from you. You're free to explore as much as you want to as long as you're keeping an eye on your darkness stacks. Early on, you're faced with having to figure out what you want to prioritize when choosing your upgrades, and it can be pretty daunting if you don't know what all the things mean. Firstly, upgrading your Sulphite capacity is never a bad idea. This allows you to gather more Sulphite in maps to then let you enjoy longer delving sessions. Personally, I found that once I reached 17,000 capacity, I was sitting in a pretty good spot for a while.
Nice.
Upgrading your flare count and explosives count is also great. I find that having 7 to 10 flares at my disposal has never been not enough, and having 4 dynamite does the trick too. Some people argue that darkness resistance isn't that important. Those people are silly. Having a high darkness resistance means you have way more time to run around in the dark before taking a bunch of damage. I recommend upping your darkness res whenever you don't have a more important upgrade to go for. If you're playing a super speedy zoomer build, then maybe you can get away without upgrading this stat, but I leave that choice up to you. Finally, the 2 other important stats are light radius and flare radius. Both work the same way. The higher the radius, the more light the crawler and your flares emit. I like keeping this as high as I can as well, just to make delving more comfortable, and I'm all about comfort. I kind of touched on bosses already, and I'm by no means an expert on the subject, so I don't have much to say here. If you're looking for a guide on how to beat them, definitely check out other YouTubers' videos. They can be pretty difficult, especially at lower depths. I just want to bring up that they have special loot that they can drop, and All in particular has some really good uniques in his drop pool. So if you run into a Primeval Ruins boss node, definitely try it out. Just be prepared to die a lot while attempting to take him down. Turns out that how far down you go into the mines really does impact how much currency you'll be making on the regular. I started to notice that at around the 150 depth mark, things started to be more rewarding. I was getting more resonators from caches, multiple fossils per fossil node, and even resonator tropes that guarantee a 4-socket resonator that currently sells for about 40 chaos. Up until the 150-ish mark though, I must admit I was pretty disappointed with the loot I was finding. The difficulty was easy and the limiting factor was simply time. I'm by no means a complete casual, but I'm also not a 6 hours a day kind of player either. If you're seriously considering doing delve as a main source of profit in Path of Exile, be prepared to invest a lot of time to get to the point where things start to feel good. Make do with that what you will. Keep in mind I'm not a particularly speedy boy, and I love to take it easy and just go at my own pace. Man, this was a pretty long one, all things considered.
That's what she said.
Hopefully you're encouraged to give delve a go, or maybe this is just what you needed to hear to come to the conclusion that you're not up for it. Either way, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, give the video a like so that other people can enjoy it too. Also, it just really helps me out. Yeah, there's that too. Thanks for watching. If you're looking for another good video to watch, this is it.